Now this is exactly what I've been looking for. Now this is the world's first versatile magnetic VND camera filter system, and it solves my #1 problem. So Freewell did send me this free of charge, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to give my honest opinion of it. First of all, let's dive into what's inside this package, and then I'm going to show you guys how I use it for wildlife photography and filming. If you don't know what an ND filter is, it's a neutral density filter, and it's like sunglasses or welding mask for your lens. You know, it really just darkens the scene and it allows you to shoot with, you know, lower shutter speeds in bright conditions. Now, what makes this system really handy though is that there's also a built-in circular polarizer if you turn around the filter. So let me show you guys how this works. So we got a base plate, and there's a VND base that you put into the base plate if you want to use the VND filters. Now the variable ND comes as a 2 to 5 stop and as a 6 to 9 stop. Now the VND base itself is -1 stop of light. You also get a cover that snaps right on magnetically. There's also the option to use a mist VND base plate if you want a slightly more creative look. So let's show you how this works. First, you put the base plate on your lens. To use the variable ND filters, you need to attach the VND base, which is 1 stop of light itself. Then on top of that, you can attach the 2 to 5 or the 6 to 9 VND filter. If we want to use the 2 to 5 stop, we want to make sure the 2 to 5 numbers are out and there is an A, and you align that A with the A on the base plate. However, I've actually found that when I've screwed my base plate on, the A is actually underneath, and as you can see here up top, I got the triangle. So for the 2 to 5, I like to find the logo on the other side of the A and align that up with the triangle. So you see here on the bottom, we've aligned the A to the A. And now we can twist this anywhere from 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if you want to change that to the 6 to 9, comes right off, super easy. And again, make sure that the numbers are facing out the way. And again, you're supposed to align the A with the A. With the 6 to 9 though, I use the number 6 right up with the triangle. And that means that the A to the A is underneath. I'm just doing this because on my lens on the base plate, when the base plate is on, the A is underneath, and it's kind of tricky to see. So I'm kind of just associating 6 with the triangle on the 6 to 9 and the logo with the triangle on the 2 to 5. And one of the great things here is that on the other side of the 2 to 5, you have a CPL, which is a circular polarizing filter. Make sure the CPL is facing out. And there we go. And on the other side of the 6 to 9 VND, you have an ND32 circular polarizing filter, which is actually a 5-step light reduction plus the polarizer. So make sure that the polarizer side is out, and you just rotate to find where it works best. Now it does depend on which way you're facing towards the sun, and usually polarizer tend to work best at a 90-degree angle from the sun. There's a handy cap as well that you can snap right onto the end, so you put it in your camera bag, or I sometimes hang it around my shoulder if I'm photographing with my other camera. Now, a little bit on why you would use a neutral density filter as a nature photographer. Well, basically you want to use it to reduce the amount of light that hits your sensor. Use this so you can darken the scene, and you can take longer shutter speeds and really get some creative images. If you have a bird on water, say like a heron or a dipper or something like that, and there's running water in the background, then you want to get that nice blurred effect on the water, but it's too bright. So you could use an ND filter then to darken the scene, and you can get that really slow shutter speed to blur the water. Now you may also want to use this for birds in flight and using panning technique. If it's quite a bright scene and you want to have a low shutter speed for panning, say you want to use 25th of a second, but it's a really bright scene, then usually what I do, the shortcut, is to just use a higher f-stop. So you end up with like f22 or something like that. But that means that you have a lot more depth of field and the background is more visible. So using an ND filter just darkens the scene, and you can still shoot at like f4 or f5.6 or whatever the lowest f-stop is on your lens. Now, to be honest, I use those kind of filters more in the past when I used to shoot a little bit more landscape, a little bit more in the cities. And one of my favorite things to do with it is really drag out the clouds in a landscape. I took in one of Edinburgh Castle where just these clouds just get dragged out. But just having this now, it does mean I am going to experiment a little bit more with that. It's just the wind that you get here, you know, like you can get some really cool effects with slow shutter speeds. You get, motion in grasses or leaves or anything like that, and just create something different. Polarizer, I use that for cutting out reflections on the surface of the water. I'll use that for photography and for filming. I also use it from photographing a bit of macro, photographing close-up photography of invertebrates, of plants. Use a polarizer, cut out some of that reflections, and really just get that intense colors. You can get the intense colors of the sky as well. Really deep, rich blue of the sky. Now, there is also the mist filter, and to be honest, I'm not sure if that's something I would use for nature photography. I can see maybe certain situations that I might try it. I'll let you know if I come across something where I think it works. Where the variable ND filter really comes to shine here is for video. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to say this, but for the longest time, I haven't used any kind of filter when I film my videos. I'm what you would call a run and gun vlogger. Because I'm also photographing and I want to get the best images, the easiest way to switch to film wildlife is just to flick the switch and then film. Now, as many of you may know, that when you're shooting video, you want to be using a shutter speed that is twice that of your frame rate. Mostly I'm shooting at 24 frames per second, which means that a shutter speed should be at 48th of a second. Now, shooting at 48th of a second is usually going to lead to an overexposure of that video. So the way I get around that is just to increase my f-stop, and very often I'll shoot at f16 or even as high as f22 sometimes if it's really bright. But of course that sacrifices my depth of field, and I might end up with video footage that isn't as nice as it could be. I don't always have that nice blurred out background as I do in my photos. So that's a sacrifice that I've made in the past, because the speed of which I'm flicking back and forth to photography and video is essential for me. And that's where something like the magnetic system here from Freewell really comes into its own, because as long as I have my ring on, I can flick on the VNDs really quickly, and I can use the variable ND filters by just turning the filter around and get my exposure right. And that means that I can keep shooting at my lowest f-stop and a shallow depth of field. I've always shied away from using filters for my videos because of the extra time it takes changing filters and screwing them on. It just takes so long. And as you can probably see here behind me now, in the UK, in Scotland, it's almost always cloudy, or even now it is sunny right now, but I bet you in a few seconds we're going to change, the whole scene around me is going to change and there's a cloud coming. So the light conditions changes from minute to minute, from second to second. So just turning the variable ND filter or switching the ND filter when I need to really crank it up to like 6 to 9 stops. One small downside is that I can't use my lens hood when the filter is on, but that is a small price to pay for how quick it goes in the field and how it helps me get much better footage. Now, Freewell says that they are waterproof, dustproof, stainproof, oilproof, and scratch resistant. And they also give a lifetime warranty. I'm not going to be testing out to see if they're scratch resistant, but it does mean that it gives me a little bit more comfort, and I'm not afraid to use it in the field. You know, when I'm crawling around photographing and filming wildlife, it is easy to get my gear wet or sometimes scratched. So having that comfort and having that lifetime warranty is an added bonus. Big shout out to Freewell who sent me these filters. Thank you so much. Really do like them. Check out the link below where you can go to their page. They've had an Indiegogo campaign on now. There might be some discounts left to get in early on these. Now, if you do film wildlife next to your photography and you're looking for a quick system like this just to get your filters on and off, I can really recommend this system. Thank you guys so much for watching. Catch you soon.